All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you. And the first thing I want to talk about, good old Chainlink. Grayscale adds Chainlink to its digital large cap fund. You might be wondering right off the bat here, hey, didn't they already add Chainlink and like 4 or 5 other new coins recently? They sure did, but the digital large cap fund is different, and we'll get into that in just a second here. Digital asset manager Grayscale Investments has announced the addition of Link, the native token of decentralized Oracle network Chainlink, to its digital large cap fund. The adjustment in the digital large cap fund's makeup was made by selling a share of its existing components and using the proceeds to purchase Link. And that's probably why we've had our pump today. Not only that, but of course the whole buy the rumor, sell the news type thing. But so far, nobody's selling the news, but who knows by the time you watch this video. So as of Friday, April 2nd, Grayscale's adjusted large cap fund had a total of 538 million in assets under management, with Link amounting to about 0.87% of the basket. Okay, so it's really not a whole lot of Link, but it's still just the beginning, so we'll have to see how it works out in the future. The test of the fund is made up of 80% Bitcoin, 16% Ethereum, 0.78% Bitcoin Cash, and 0.99% of Litecoin. According to Grayscale, no other assets qualified for inclusion in the fund. So basically, this is the digital large cap fund composition. It consists of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Chainlink, and it's weighted appropriately. Of course, Bitcoin has the 80% weight. So basically, when you go to Grayscale, you can either buy GBTC or you can buy their G Ethereum, whatever they happen to call it. I don't even think they have a name for it, but basically they have GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Cash Trust is BCHG, etc. So you're basically buying derivatives of Bitcoin. They do have to hold a whole mess of Bitcoin. As you can see, the assets under management is $38 million or billion dollars worth of Bitcoin. And in total, it's far more than that. But so you can buy the individual derivatives of these coins, or you can go to the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, which when you put in so much money, you get a weighted basket of cryptocurrencies. So it's like buying almost like a mutual stock or basically an ETF in derivative disguise. That's basically Grayscale's MO the whole time. It's basically an ETF because institutional investors, fund advisors, yada yada companies, etc., they can't just go out and buy Bitcoin a lot of the times, although we're starting to see that now. But basically, institutional investors, they can't just buy Bitcoin and hold it for their investors, because that would basically be exactly what an ETF is, and so far there is no Bitcoin ETF. So the only thing we have close to that right now is Grayscale, and so they have to have it as a derivative of Bitcoin. So when you go and you buy that, you buy this derivative, this basket of cryptocurrencies like an ETF. So launched in 2018, Grayscale's digital large cap fund allows investors exposure to a weighted portfolio of large cap cryptos without the need to buy and store them directly. Its makeup is reviewed every 3 months, with the weighting of the components either increasing or decreasing. So again, these institutional investors that want to purchase, they need an ETF because that's how they can legally do it. They can't just go onto Coinbase and have Coinbase hold it for them. They need to have a licensed institutional ETF holding the Bitcoin for them. And the whole institutional thing is sort of a fiasco. And companies themselves, like private companies, they can sure buy it, like MicroStrategy. But for the institutional investors, it's a little bit difficult, and that's sort of why we're waiting on a game-changing Bitcoin ETF in the world. While there's a few in Canada, and I think there's 1 or 2 in Brazil so far, no United States ETF. So this is helping Chainlink out quite a bit. While they did have a whole bunch of other ones they could have chosen to put in the basket, apparently they just, the way they weighed it and their inclusion, none of their other funds qualified, only Chainlink. Perhaps it was based on market cap or liquidity or something like that. But moving on, Sacramento Kings to offer Bitcoin salary to all players. So we're starting to see this recently with professional sports teams. The highest paid NFL player was the one who accepted Bitcoin for his salary. He chose to negotiate his salary in Bitcoin. And while his salary was really no more than anybody else's, he happened to choose a pretty good time to be accepting Bitcoin because it was at that time that Bitcoin doubled, tripled, quadrupled in price. And now he's essentially the highest paid player by coincidence, if you suppose. But the Sacramento Kings are set to become the first major sports franchise to offer a Bitcoin payment option to all players and staff. Team owner Vivek Ranadive. I got it. Again, I'm great with names. I don't know why everybody says in the comments that I'm terrible with names. Just slow the video down. I get them every time. CoinDesk confirmed with a fellow speaker on the Clubhouse program, which was hosted by Tim Draper, that Renadive had previewed his announcement scheduled for later this week. News of the announcement first circulated on Twitter. So the move would strengthen the Kings' long-standing claim to being one of the most crypto-forward teams in professional sports. The California National Basketball Association team began selling everything from tickets to hot dogs for Bitcoin in 2014, and in 2019 launched reward tokens for fans, and it's unclear at press time how the Kings will facilitate the Bitcoin payments to players and staff. It partnered with BitPay for the 2014 offering. BitPay did not immediately respond to CoinDesk. National football player Russell Okung made headlines later last year for becoming the first NFL player to convert some of his $13 million salary into Bitcoin and use Zap's Strike product to convert dollars to BTC. A representative for the Kings did not pick up the phone, so apparently they're not responding to too many questions here about this, but I doubt they'll use BitPay for that because BitPay doesn't really pay people in Bitcoin. They just accept Bitcoin and then liquidate it and then give you the fiat. But the player I was talking about was the Russell character who accepted some of his salary in Bitcoin and then converted it and made a whole bunch of money like that. So good for you. Keep on hodling. Moving on, Polkadot futures open interest hits $1 billion as DOT price reaches a new all-time high. So something pretty fierce in terms of futures here. On March 24th, the price of Polkadot's token corrected by 23% in a brief 6-hour period, resulting in 174 million in liquidations across the futures market. And the swift downside also cut the aggregate open interest by 26%. Now that DOT's open interest is climbing to a new record high at $1 billion, investors may be worried that another price crash is on the way. Although the event severely hurt leveraged longs at the time, the token managed to rally 46% in 10 days, reaching an all-time high of $46. The explosive gain caused investors to recoup their confidence pretty quickly, and the futures open interest has now reached a record of $1 billion. Recently, QuickSwap, a decentralized exchange, expressed interest in using Polkadot's Layer 2 solution to lower costs and increase transaction throughput. And these might be a few of the fundamental reasons behind the increase in price. The price drop on March 24th was not specific to DOT, as the altcoin market capitalization plunged 10% during that period. Nevertheless, DOT's 23% correction was much higher than most altcoins, and the reason behind it may lay in its 844 million futures open interest on March 24th. So something pretty large here, one of the larger open future interest coins at the moment. So a whole bunch of interest behind Polkadot, and the way I consider Polkadot is kind of like Ethereum 2.0, but like the dollar store version. So not quite what Ethereum 2.0 is going to be, but got a good future ahead of it. Cardano reveals its first supply chain solution in with ScanTrust. So Cardano is setting up some things now. Finally got that upgrade to allow smart contracts, etc. But still, we haven't seen that much. So the first upgrade allowed at least tokenization of Cardano, so you can make tokens on Cardano. But so far, I haven't really seen that. So far, I haven't really seen a lot of smart contracts on it either. It's kind of like Ethereum Ethereum Classic. Name a smart contract on Cardano or on Ethereum Classic. Go. And if you can't do it, it's got a ways to go. The Cardano Foundation is pleased to announce the live release of a unique supply chain traceability and anti-counterfeit solution together with ScanTrust, a connected goods and products platform that provides digitalization for brand protection, supply chain traceability, and consumer engagement to Fortune 500 enterprises and small to medium enterprises in over 168 countries. Cardano's ScanTrust solution allows brand owners to leverage the traceability and targeted data functions of ScanTrust's physical secured QR codes, together with the speed and low cost of the Cardano blockchain for supply chain traceability and anti-counterfeit use cases. So it's basically Baya's Wines. It's a family-owned vineyard nestled in the Imereti region in western Georgia at an elevation of 698 feet above sea level. They export to more than a dozen countries. Baya's Wine spans 3 generations of expert winemakers and is now under the leadership of the Aboulades sisters, one of whom made the coveted Forbes 30 under 30 list. So Cardano moving ahead with some supply chain management. That's good, but I'd still like to see a whole bunch more. I still want to see them tokens under Cardano as well, because I figure those will be pretty lucrative just because crypto and tokens will be coming out. I mean, hey, if Bad Luck Brian meme could sell for $36,000 as an NFT because somebody ripped a JPEG off the internet and then put it on the blockchain, I think a token under Cardano for the first time will be worth a lot as well. Come on. Moving on here. Former Bitmex CEO surrenders to face trial in U.S. So I mentioned this news a while back that basically the Bitmex CEO is in a little bit of trouble. Arthur Hayes charged with violating the Bank Secrecy Act, and he was in something like Thailand or Vietnam for a while, and he was like, yeah, I'll turn myself in a few weeks or a couple months or something like that, which wouldn't we all wish we could do some crimes and then just turn ourselves in at our leisure? But he finally turned himself in. Arthur Hayes, who served as CEO of Bitmex up until he was charged in October with conspiracy to evade money laundering regulations, has surrendered to U.S. authorities to face trial. So Bitmex, yes, the 100x leverage platform that for quite a while, conspiratorially, people believe that they may have been manipulating the cryptocurrency market, because as soon as a whole bunch of longs gathered up, all of a sudden the crypto market would just dump and a whole bunch of longs would be liquidated. And guess who gets those liquidation fees? That's Bitmex. It sure is. So there's a lot of conspiratorial incentive for a large leverage platform like that to wreck its users to get all their fees. Hayes, who had been living in Singapore, flew to Hawaii to turn himself in before being released on $10 million bail as part of a pre-arranged deal with U.S. prosecutors. The former CEO will face trial in New York along with his co-founders Benjamin Dello and Samuel Reed. The 3 stand accused of violating the Bank Secrecy Act, which requires financial institutions to take measures to prevent money laundering. A 4th person, head of business operations Gregory Dwyer, is in Bermuda and has reportedly not been cooperating with the U.S. authorities. The U.S. is seeking his extradition. So while the other ones are like, yeah, we'll turn ourselves in a few months, right after we're just done having our leisure and business practices, and then we'll just casually do it, and then get out on bail immediately after, which is just amazing. But Bitmex is an exchange for trading crypto derivatives such as Bitcoin options. According to CoinMarketCap, it's the 8th most popular derivatives exchange, having registered $4.4 billion in trading volume in the last 24 hours. And U.S. prosecutors think that some of Bitmex's popularity may stem from trading policies that allegedly put it afoul of U.S. law as a result of its failure to implement anti-money laundering practices and know your customer programs. Bitmex made itself available as a vehicle for money laundering and sanctions violations, the October indictment reads. So, Arthur Hayes in a bit of trouble. Who knows? Is it actually going to result in jail time, fees, or is he just going to walk away? Who knows? But good old Bitmex, wrecking the crypto industry as usual. And if I was on Bitmex right now with my crypto holdings, it's probably not the best idea to have your crypto on there. You know, I'm just saying. Who knows? It'll probably just blow over. But do you really want to risk your money? It's up to you. Moving on, coin market cap, $1.954 trillion market cap. So still not quite at that $2 trillion. We were nearly at it for a second there, and then since then fell back a little bit. But you can see that Chainlink did pump a good amount on this news today. Just earlier in the day, it was $31, spiked at like $34, $35, and is now resting somewhere like $34.50. So a pretty good pump for Chainlink holders for sure, being added to the Grayscale large cap fund there. Pretty good news, I suppose, and they had to liquidate some other cryptocurrencies and then buy Link for that fund. So probably bought quite a bit of Link off the market, at least in the millions somewhere. Bitcoin at 57,796, so nothing going on there. Ethereum still holding strong at 2,100. Still need that sharding and that layer 2 solutions. The optimistic roll-up network was supposed to be out March 15th, but has since been delayed, and some speculate that it's supposed to be in April of this month, but we'll have to see. I'm not holding my breath on that one. XRP did go over $1. Now sitting at $1.08. It was a little bit higher earlier in the day, I believe. We take a look here. And I did have a prediction no, it's pretty much nearly as high as it's been today. $1.11 was something around its highest, but that is, of course, coin market cap, so it's just an average. So it could have been a little bit higher on various exchanges. But I did predict that XRP could go to $1 pretty easily if the SEC considered XRP a currency and not a security. A little bit of XRP news too. XRP, the company Ripple, basically won the documents of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and how the SEC declared that those two currencies were indeed currencies and not securities. So they have that information now, and their lawyers are probably going through that, figuring how to argue against the SEC that XRP is a currency and not a security. So that's going to help them out quite a bit. As you can see, it's up like 30% on that news as well, which I should have included the article, but I read it earlier. But I did think it could go to $1 if it was considered a currency, so I did not actually expect it to be over $1 before this SEC lawsuit was over. It was because of the news yesterday that they found new partnerships, and the news today that they won the rights to get the documents to take a look at them in order for their lawyers to go over that material about Bitcoin and Ethereum being currencies. So that's going to help them out in that lawsuit quite a bit. They'll be able to argue quite a bit better and use those talking points that Ethereum and Bitcoin basically successfully passed. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. That helps me out a lot. My social media in the description below. Give me a follow on those if you get the opportunity to do so. Also, channel memberships are active. Hit the join button below. Become a channel member. It helps out the channel quite a bit. And you also look 32% cooler when you comment on the channel, because you get a Cool Beans badge when you comment. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.